What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue working on the KRX. Since the last video, it's been a couple of days of just waiting for parts. Now I did spend a couple of hours helping my mom with her garden tools, and we're going to be picking back up with the KRX and the fuel system. The goal at the end of this video is to try, possibly, maybe, I can't guarantee it, but to turn the car over with the Z1 swap and the turbo kit. Now we're just gonna dive right into it. We've done fuel system 1,000 times before, and I'm just gonna gather all the stuff and show you guys what we're using and get right to it. Also, we are using the Hero 13. I played with some settings. I don't know the quality of whatever this setting is. So anyways, we're gonna be upgrading the fuel pump and also the feed line. I don't know if it's this one or if it's this one. I'll just bring both of them. They're the same box. But anyways, we're doing PTFE line from the tank moving forward. Honestly, I don't even know if I have the adapter to the fuel pump hanger, but we'll figure it out when we go through the fitting box. We're gonna be doing a Walbro 450 right there. Take you guys to my table. We are gonna be doing a flex fuel sensor. We're gonna be doing the fittings for that, and this right here is a fitting for a future fuel pressure sensor, so I'm going to build that one in line of this guy here. We'll grab all the electrical stuff when we get to it, but we got the pigtail with this as well too. Here we go. We also got a new fuel filter. We're going to be upgrading it from the 3-inch to a 6-inch stainless filter. I believe this is a 10 micron. I don't know what else we need right here in the garage, but when we get to installing it and if we're missing anything, we'll go and look for it. On the screen it looks really dark, so I'm not sure what's going on here. It's the same setting from the Hero 9. I just noticed that on the back side of the GoPro lens, it actually dims. So when I'm looking at it after like a minute, it looks dark. But when you touch the screen, it brightens back up. I mean, it looks good right now, but a second ago it was dark and I didn't know that. But anyways, yeah, so the car has been on jack stands yesterday, and I need to torch the Web Nation down here so we can crawl underneath and drop that fuel tank so we can do the first thing, which is install the Walbro 450. I forgot how much gas was actually in this tank because the gas gauge stopped working on the cluster earlier this year, but the fuel pump hanger ready to come out right here. I'm gonna snip the power wire and unscrew the ground because we're gonna upgrade the positive and negative to the fuel pump to a 10 gauge, which I still need to go buy. So I'll go ahead and pop this thing out. So fuel pump hanger right here, guys, and you can clearly see this one right here has a Phillips screw that was kind of hard to take off, so I just snipped the wire. And then this one right here is like soldered into the hat with like glue on top of it. So we're going to be upgrading these wires right here. I need to find a fitting for this to convert it over to -6, and I'm kind of up in the air about upgrading the fuel line on the return as well too. I don't know if I have enough, but if I have enough, I'll upgrade the fuel line as well too, because this section right here to the hard line that goes into the car is rubber, and over time E85 will eat that rubber out, and I don't want to have to like crawl underneath, drop the tank, do it all over again. If I just do a -6 from here straight to the front along with the feed, I don't have to worry about that in the long term. So anyways, fuel pump right here, it's a Walbro 255, and I guess back then I don't know what I did here, but factory sock. And I don't even have a worm clamp. I literally have zip ties holding this thing together, and seems to be holding up all these times. But anyways, we're gonna be swapping this out with a Walbro 450, and this was actually new, and this was actually in my silver sedan in the stock fuel tank. And when I took out the stock fuel tank right there, I ended up putting a brand new Walbro 450 in the fuel cell. So this was a working pump, and I'm gonna stick it on here. I just need to figure out the filter system because I'm not gonna use that, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it done and find all the fittings I need. Guys, we have a problem. I thought I had an extra 12mm by 1.25 to -6 for the fuel pump hanger. Unfortunately, I don't. I went through all of my fittings, my tote of fittings, my other box of fittings, and I don't have one. I do have, I know I got you in a little bit, but I only have a -8, which this is for the blue sedan, and I need to order the 12mm by 1.25 to -6. I'm gonna order like a pair or 3 or 4 of them just to have it in my inventory, because you'll never know when you're gonna need it, right? So the only way for me to continue today is to rob it out of my silver sedan. The fuel cell is in the trunk, easily accessible, and it's a -6, where the blue sedan is also accessible in the trunk, but it's -8, and we're doing -6. So I'm gonna have to rob it from the silver sedan since I'm not driving it right now, and hopefully we can get a replacement tomorrow. So anyways, that's what we're gonna have to do. Sometime you have to compromise, as long as you put the other car back together. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I don't have one of those bulkhead fittings for the wires to drill through here. And man, I thought I had all this stuff. I was buy extras, but I guess the last one that I used was on the silver sedan. This guy right here, no mames. So I found some extra 10 gauge right here. Hopefully it's long enough to go from the back of the fuel tank to the front hole underneath the back seat, so we can wire it up to the relay. Now I just remembered that I have a versatile wiring fuel pump relay kit. Fuel Tech, this one right here. So it looks like we have a relay and a harness on deck instead of having to run to the parts store, because I really didn't want to do that. So versatile wiring fuel pump relay kit. This is typically plug and play. When I say typically, I mean typically plug and play if you buy it for the correct chassis. This might be for like DC or EG, because the plugs that goes to the factory wiring, it's not like the EF style. So this is not going to plug into our rear harness for the signal and the ground, and we're going to have to modify something here. But really quickly, I just want to show you guys. Right here we have the relay setup. That's the relay. You got to ground this to the rear, wherever your relay is going to sit inside the car. This one right here goes to your fuel pump, power and negative. And then this one is going to plug into, if it was a plug and play to your chassis, would be plugging into your harness for the fuel pump signal right here, and the ground for that as well too. And then we have this flying lead that goes all the way to wherever your battery is located, and fortunate for us, our battery is in the trunk already. So this is just gonna coil up like this to the trunk with a built-in fuse right there, 30 amp, right? And I think realistically what I'm gonna do right now is find an opposite plug. Which one is it? This is fuel pump. So I need an opposite plug, which I'm pretty sure I have here somewhere. So this one right here is a female end, and then we need a male side. There's another female. Real quick. Oh, right here. So we have this right here. This is the female end that's gonna plug on one side, and then the male end is gonna plug on this side, and I'm gonna have to wire the fuel pump signal to the yellow right here, which is this yellow, which is also yellow in my CRX, and then ground. So pretty straightforward. I'll show you guys once I get it all wired up. I want to show you guys my fuel pump setup with the versatile wiring relay kit before I throw everything back into the fuel tank. So Walbro 450 secured, and the tube is connected to the top hat. We have the ground and the power on the factory terminal, because I don't have that bulkhead to go through the top hat on the top. What I ended up doing was I soldered the 10 gauge directly to that terminal, which is a direct connection to this guy here, and we put a ground on a ring terminal to use the factory screw. This right here is the harness I just made, loomed it into green because I don't have black. This is the plug I just modified, and that is the ground and power to the relay for the fuel pump. And then the yellow black comes over here. So we got ground and signal. This right here, when you turn the key on, this will send signal to turn the relay on and then give the power it needs to the fuel pump. And right here we have our battery pack. We have the grounds on, the power lead directly to the positive, and I want to show you guys the fuel pump working. So this right here, when the key is in the on position, will send power to this. So when I send power to this wire, the pump's going to kick on. Alrighty, so that right there is our setup, man. Versatile wiring harness. Just made my life easier today instead of having to run to the parts store to build me a relay kit. So let's go ahead and put this all back in the car. So from off the tank, we're gonna go 90. We should have some clearance to the top of the tub once the fuel tank is fully bolted in place. And I'm gonna route this along the exhaust tunnel because I don't have a drive shaft, so there's a lot of space down there. But I need to figure out where my flex fuel sensor is gonna go, because I'm gonna do it in line of the feed. We want to know the ethanol content going up before it gets into the fuel rail. And Motion Raceworks said it doesn't matter where you install the flex fuel sensor, but they did it on the feed line. So I'm just gonna follow their steps, and I gotta mount the flex fuel sensor before I cut this line here. All right guys, so it's 10:30 right now, and I spent more time trying to figure out where to mount the flex fuel sensor, and I wanted to be up front and accessible. So the only area that I really have is this general area right here. I have a catch can that sits right here, and I don't want to cram this side, so I want to run my filter and flex fuel sensor over here. But the way I want to configure it, I don't have some of the fittings that will make it work. And I try to put it in line. Let me show you guys. I try to put it in line like this, just to make it a straight shot, right? Not too much bends, not too much curves. I try to do a straight shot using a -6 female union, and I kind of like the way this looks, but I don't have enough space to put it here. Well, actually I do, but you can tell with the contour of the firewall, it's going to be hard to make mounts. And if I did make mounts, I wouldn't make it tonight, because again, it's 10:30. And the only thing is, I have this adapter right here for the fuel pressure sensor I'm going to add later, and it only makes the feed line coming into the flex fuel sensor further this way, more towards the hot parts, the downpipe, the dump tube. And I don't feel safe like that. So if I was to say configure the fuel pump in a different position per se, right? So this is a straight union adapter. If I did the fuel pump sitting like this or like this, right, I would need a 90, because I would then put the flex fuel sensor down low, and then this will be a 90 up into the fuel filter. You guys picturing this? And then the line, you can see it's way down there away from the downpipe, and that'll go straight into the sensor. The wires will be nice and short, straight through the hole to the ECU, and I would much prefer it that way, but I don't have the fitting I need to make this all work. And even if I did, it's too late to make bracket right now. So I wanted to knock this out today, but you know, sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. There's no rush. I'm already super far ahead of my schedule, and because I was fidgeting with that, knowing that I can't make the bracket tonight, or I don't want to make the bracket tonight, I started doing the return line right here. So it's a pretty straight shot. 45 off the regulator straight back, straight fitting on the opposite end to the tank. That's it. So I'm gonna knock this out tonight and order some parts, order parts again, and just wait for everything to come in, and then we'll try to button up the fuel system. While we are waiting for parts to show up, let's continue making work elsewhere. So we need to build a line from the rail to the regulator using a straight and a 90. There's our line from the rail to the FPR, straight on this side. I measured this 1,000 times before I cut that hose, because if you guys remember the silver sedan, I made the line a little too short and had to rebuild it off camera and now this should kind of like all flow together. So last night I did mount the flex fuel sensor on the return side, and again, realistically I want it on the feed side, but you can install it on the return, and that's what I did, granted the amount of space I have and didn't have. So if you guys look down there, bolted on a factory 10mm thread into the frame rail, secured into place. Return line has already been built, so we have it connected here all the way back to the tank, and the tank is actually reinstalled back into the car. I need a 45 from the opposite end of the flex fuel, and then a 45 off the regulator. So I only got one, and I'm waiting for another one to show up today so we can build that line. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out how to mount the fuel filter so we can build the feed line right here from the fuel tank. I'll be honest with you guys, I spent about an hour and a half debating on where I wanted to mount the fuel filter, and I typically put it on the firewall, and then something clicked to me. I read online years ago, NHRA don't want any fuel related stuff on the firewall, which is why I always have my fuel pressure regulator sitting right here. If I went to a track and they were strict about, you know, NHRA rules, I don't want to get popped having a bracket right here on the firewall. So I had to cut and modify this because I couldn't bend it, and I did try to slice it and I bent it a little too hard and it broke. So I decided to mount the fuel filter right here using this hole, and like tuck the filter along the shock tower. If it was straight, it would stick out like that. You guys see that? It would stick out like this giant gap right here. So I wanted to fit the curvature of the shock tower, and I bent this, broke it, welded it back together, which is why the anodize is all bronze now. But if you look, if I bolt it up right there, it's flush on the tower side. Just an OCD thing, I guess, but that will work. So I'm gonna grind this down a little bit, and I kind of like this, but I don't like that it's two color. But I'm gonna try to paint it. Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm probably not gonna paint that. Looks cool. We may as well, right? Now it's nice and uniform. Fuel filter bracket installed, pretty sturdy. I also put the fitting onto the bottom PTFE-6 from the fuel pump. That's installed as well too. So now I need to build the feed line from the filter to the rail, and I have to make sure it clears my catch can setup. I am also robbing this from the blue car. I'll build another one later. And I also got to modify that bolt right there because this doesn't seat all the way down, but I got to make sure that that line from the filter clears my catch can lines, because these guys, they sit right here over the shock tower. So it might have to like kind of squeeze in between, but once this sits all the way down, the line might actually go over the catch can lines to the rail. So let's do that. So my catch can did have some fluid in here at the very bottom, and I dumped it out. Mostly water. You can't see it anymore, but it was mostly water, probably condensation, and with a little bit of mixture of oil obviously coming out from the valve cover. And I cleaned it all out. Nothing in here anymore. The filter, you can see right there, a little bit of mixture with oil, but this thing definitely did its job because it is damped on the bottom but dried on the top. This right here is literally the anti-slosh that comes from the eBay fuel cell, and I always take them out, especially running E85, because once this thing deteriorates, goes through your lines, and then it clogs up your filter, you're going to have a lot of fuel pressure problems. So because this thing is kind of crusty looking, I'm just going to make a new one because I got a bunch of them. So I'm just going to cut it to fit, shove it in there, put the plate back on, and then reinstall this back into the car. First and foremost, you got to replace this fitting right here. 45s. This is a 4-pack. It's like 22 bucks. Can't beat that. Now let's go ahead and build our return line from the fuel pressure regulator down to the flex fuel sensor. There it is, our last line built and installed. Yes sir, I do need to extend the pigtails for the flex fuel sensor because it's not on there right now, but we'll do that after the fact. Because the KRX literally has the entire setup from the blue sedan, the whole entire engine, the turbo kit, and specifically the ID 2000 injectors, I'm going to use the ECU from this car. It should fire this car over. The only difference between the two is Walbro 525 Hellcat and Walbro 450, but as long as the fuel pressure is the same, we should be fine, which I think we need to set because the fuel rail and intake manifold setup was from the KRX. So yeah, let's go ahead and plug this thing up. This is it, you guys. Moment of truth. This car is already wired up and everything. It should fire over, but before we do, I want to check all the lines from the tank to the front to the filter to the rail, regulator, flex fuel sensor. Make sure we have fuel pressure for one and no leaks, most importantly. But there's no reason why this thing shouldn't fire over. We should have some power. Oh, line's getting filled. Let's see where the fuel pressure's at. Oh, damn, that's way up there. That's almost 55, and it's dropping down a little bit there, but so far, no leaks. I don't smell gas at all, which is a good sign. I don't see anything down there. If there was a leak in the back, it'd be drizzling on the floor. I don't smell any gas back here either. This car already has oil from the blue car. I didn't drain it at all. Let's do this. I do have an oil pressure gauge right here, so that's going to indicate if we have oil pressure or not, but let's go. That is a very low idle. All right, so throttle body and everything is from the KRX originally, and the KRX didn't have an idle control valve before, so let's give it some gas. Okay, so I forgot the spindles are not attached to the axles, and the axles are spinning right now, and it's hitting everything. So I don't want to ruin nothing down here. All right, let's get you guys up on the tripod, let you hear it from the outside. There you have it. KRX is alive, and I'm stoked about it. It's like 10 o'clock right now, and I got super sidetracked. I was on the phone with the homie Mauricio. If you guys don't remember, we went to his shop and we were helping him with his aluminum welding machine, working on his K24 Turbo EG. He just sent me some photos, and that thing is already painted, and he's like reassembling the car right now, and it looks fire. He's gonna stop by here the next couple of days, give me some pointers on doing the body work on the KRX, because obviously I need to paint this car before putting on a new windshield and having this thing ready to rock and roll for HDAY in October. We're also going to stop by his shop later in the week as well to kind of help him button up some piping on his EG. But I was on the phone with him for about an hour, and when I hung up, I was working on the KRX, putting it back together. All the interior stuff is put back together. The battery box is secured. The versatile relay kit for the fuel pump secured. The storage compartment, everything put back together. And I cleaned everything up. I threw the hood back on, and the hood actually interfered with the catch can lines right here. This is a VIS carbon fiber hood, and it has like the mold of the underneath webbing, and the webbing is what interferes with the lines. This originally interfered with the K24 on high setting, and I had to cut that, but I had to cut more here to clear the line there. And now we're golden. The hood does close completely flat without cutting too much. Looking good, looking good. So I was going to show you guys the wiring for the flex fuel sensor, and then I realized that I don't have the pigtails to do that, but I'm gonna run you guys along with it anyways, and I'll also put all the link in the description below. Off, on. Okay, so I'm gonna put the link in the description below to this website right here, racespec.freshdesk.com, and this is like literally the wiring stuff for the flex fuel sensor for Hyundai K Pro. Now if you're like, you know, S300, you're gonna have to do that research on your own. YouTube has a bunch of video on it as well too. So flex fuel sensor kit for K Pro V4, and there are 3 wires on the pigtail that you need to wire to get the flex fuel sensor to work, and then you got to go into parameters and figure out the whole flex fuel thing. I haven't gone that far yet, but the 3 wires, 1 red black 12 volt, 2 ground is black, 3 is signal, which is the white wire to the K Pro board. Now the wiring may be a little different depending on the kit that you're buying, and I'm just gonna say right off the rip, 1 2 3 power, ground, signal. Red black, they recommend you do 12 volt at A2 or A3. Ground is obviously chassis. 3 is signal, white wire. There's another link right here I'll also put in the description below, which takes you to the Hyundai K Manager Index. And on the K Pro board, this guy right here, you have all these inputs and outputs right here, right? So from right to left, the second one is the ethanol content sensor right here. So white wire, ethanol sensor input. So the white wire from the harness, right, number 3, goes to that input right there, and I believe it's this one here, because there's 2 sets of pinouts. But this one right here, you can see a little label, it says ET for ethanol. It's the second pin from right to left. So you wire it into that, and then there's more you gotta get into to, you know, enable the ethanol content, you know, the sensor, the flex fuel, and all that stuff. I need to find that pigtail. I know I have some. If not, I'm sure the homie Nomis might have some, but obviously I can't go further without having that all hooked up for you guys. But hopefully this instruction is clear enough for you guys to do the wiring and the electronic portion of the flex fuel sensor. But I am wrapped up for tonight. I want to clean up. I want to fix a few things before I wrap it up here in the garage myself. I somehow broke my little tab right here for the glove box. This is notorious for the EF guys. They become very brittle after 30+ years, so I'm going to do some plastic welding. This guy is no longer working. I'm not entirely sure why that blinking is there, but I got to find the manual to figure that out. And my max solenoid, actually not my max solenoid, my max solenoid is right here, 3-port. This is the replacement for my blue sedan. I finally found where my package went. My niece gave it to my neighbor because it had a different name on there. So we got the max solenoid for the turbo CRV. So that means we're going to be scheduling a dyno tune here soon. I think, depending on the schedule for my tuner, we might try to make a dyno day out of it. Turbo CRV, my turbo sedan, my KRX turbo, and my homie Mauricio turbo CRX. We might have 4 cars to try to squeeze in. I gotta call my tuner and figure that out. But we got the last part we need for the turbo CRV, so we're pretty much ready to rock and roll. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up for this video right here. I hope you guys enjoy the progress update on the KRX, the fuel system upgrade. This applies to any car as long as you lay it all out and figure all the fittings and everything you need. We are using the Cently -6 PTFE line from Amazon, 16 foot, real cheap and affordable, works great. We also upgraded to the Evo Energy 6-inch 10 micron filter, and obviously we're using the flex fuel sensor. But anyways, that is our fuel system for the KRX. Hopefully we'll make some decent power with it without running out of fuel. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for more of the fun stuff with the KRX build, the radiator showed up right there. We got to install that along with the intercooler to button up the entire turbo kit. If you guys want to stick around and see all that fun stuff, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.